Hey guys, welcome back. So this is a very quick little video on my overall thoughts and impressions on the Novaflare update. In full transparency, we have basically tested out both of these two units in the other team comps multiple times in our different units, as well as the scenarios in which you're going to be using them in, right? So this is just the overall thoughts and impressions. I will start off with Sparkle first, because personally, I'm just way more interested in playing Sparkle. And as an OG E2 Sparkle owner, right? I got this day one. If y'all got E2 Sparkle only on this patch because of the E1 over here, y'all don't deserve her. Right, I was an OG E2 Sparkle enjoyer. As a matter of fact, I was the guy that, if you guys remember from way back in those days, in Honkai Star 2024, I had a bit of a kerfuffle with Gacha Smack. Yeah, on the 175, 174 Sparkle Bronya setup with Blade, right? That was me. That was me. I was one of the very first few people in HSR that really like the way that Sparkle play. Fast forward to 2026, after a very long time, Sparkle didn't really see a lot of play until Archer, and then subsequently with this Novaflare, I am extremely, right, hold up, let me pull up Prime right now. I am extremely surprised that Miss Sparkle is literally a tier below Sunday, right? This is like, there's no way in hell this is real. So we're gonna just discuss a little bit more on Sparkle before we move on to Black Swan. So essentially what Sparkle does right now, especially after if you were to take into consideration like her performance, even outside of say Archer, this is with the current skill point environment. So to be fair, there's a little bit of a shielding involved because the more skill points you use, the more true damage you're gonna be getting. But generally speaking, if I can think of a team that can use Sunday, I more or less low-key can use Sparkle. Sometimes I can run both at the same time. So for example, Jingyuan Silla, right? Version 1.0 DPS, clearly in 2 cycles. With E0, S1, Jingyuan, E0. Again, this is E1 Silla because we lost 50-50. So this was honestly really impressive. Generally, I would say, the way that her shape is looking at right now is that because Sparkle fills this very interesting niche where it's 50% AV advance, plus a shit ton of skill points. Like, after the Novaflare, you really never ever run the skill point issues ever again. Maybe a little bit if you were to go ahead and play yourself Archer and you continuously want your 10 skill points per dump, that might be possible. But aside from that, you just pretty much spam all your skills for your supports, for your assassin, and everything else. So I would say anybody that is gonna be starting off your patch in HSR in this version, right? If you don't like Sparkle, whether you like it or not, you're probably gonna be ending up getting a lot of value from her, from that free unit selector, which you can be seen from this right here. Because all the units you see here, especially if you're a new player, right, and you don't have any of these units, single-handedly, Sparkle's impact is the most impactful as of this moment. We are already moving on from Sunbreak. If you missed out Nadia, Remembrance is gonna be just left with Cyrene. So we do have the Evernight rerun to fill up last remaining Remembrance players who didn't manage to fill up their Remembrance flagship. And then all these other units, they are DPSs, right? And I would say personally, if you are starting out in HSR as like a new player, right? Because the banner we have right now is Yao Guang. If you want to pick up a DPS that can pivot Yao Guang into Sparksy, then Sparkle will give you the perfect setup. Right? It is the perfect setup for any new player to just hop in, and that is gonna be a super easy team one. They don't really need to think too much about anymore. Whether or not in the future Elation is gonna come out with like another unit, right? 2 different flagship, who knows? But essentially, at least you secure your benefits in the early game, right? Not so much about a pulling opinion, but more so like the value they're gonna be getting from Sparkle, right? If there was gonna be, let's just say, for example, if there was a Sunday here, right? If there was a Sunday, if there was a Bubbin, if there was a Teep, that will be a little bit more interesting, like a full-on support selector, because it really just depends on what DPS you have, right? But for now, Sparkle is gonna be in a very good position. Overall, because they basically made her to the point where you gain in almost infinite amount of skill points, you also gain rare pen now instead of the stupid ass like attack trace. You can kind of just fit her in with like most DPS because she doesn't scale off of attack. So you can even run with My Day, right? You can just run with HP scaling, defense scaling, attack scaling, whatever it's gonna be, and you can kind of spam all of your utility utility as well as usage, getting the highest possible amount of damage. For the Lycone, till this day, I have never ever thought, oh my god, bro, I need Sparkle's S1, right? This DDD has been with Sparkle since day one. And I have never ever dreamed of running out any other Lycone because DDD is just that good, especially when the ultimate is gonna be that fast and you can run through 4-piece Eagle. So if you hit 167 effective speed, that is 200 effective. This is a little bit slow, but we do have the E1, which gives us speed buff, which makes it even easier for Sparkle mains to hit 200 effective, right? Maybe back then, right? Maybe back in 2024, right? MrPokke said you need 175 speed Sparkle, and then we got into a drama because nobody has 100. Bro, it's 2026, right? I'm pretty sure it is not too much for me to say. I don't think 200 effective is that far of a reach, right? To each their own, it is what it is. They just buff it up to 30% defense in order, which is crazy. This one gives you more skill point, don't worry about it, and this is the classic E6 for the crit damage move. So overall, I would say I am extremely happy with the way that Sparkle turned out, right? So if I were to give a rating, it is like a 9 out of 10. The only other Novaflare that I think did better than Sparkle is probably Kafka. If you don't play DOT, this doesn't really concern you, but if you do play DOT, you will know like how big of an impact this was, and she is pretty much almost non-negotiable for any DOT mains at this point. So super nice rework as well as a super nice update for both the DOT mains as well as in this point crit damage or attack or any like crit main DPS, right? Got real is got real. Okay, exceptional. Next unit is going to be Black Swan. So full transparency, during the time in which I was supposed to do my guides for Sparkle buff as well as Black Swan buff, which is a Novaflare, MrPokke got caught up in a kerfuffle. If you know, you know. So unfortunately, I didn't even have enough time to go through the Novaflare. But, you know, check out Global Satisfied's video. Super nice W guide maker. But generally speaking, from what I understand, is that your Arcana goes beyond 50 to up to 99. And you don't even need a cast or skill anymore because you can apply the defense down whenever, right? And you make a Black Swan slower to scale off her personal damage for Arcana. And then you let Kafka be the driver. So slower Black Swan, mainly because you want to run an attack percentage main boots, and then you slap it on with super fast Kafka on 4-piece Eagle, and then this will just be the team you're going to be running for DOT. From what I've seen in the DOT performance, frankly speaking, this was fucking insane, by the way. This team was actually fucking insane. To be fair, it's E2 Bobbin, E0 Highlands, E2 Kafka, and E1 Black Swan. But probably like the best performance I've seen in Sustainers. Almost no pressure in an environment that's not even suitable for DOT to begin with. In the terms of damage, if you're gonna be picking up a 3-man DOT team, so I'm talking like Black Swan plus Highlands plus Kafka, it is fine. But if you're choosing between, okay, let's just say you have Kafka and Highlands, right? Should you choose Black Swan or Jiao Qiu? I think the answer is super fucking obvious, so that's done. But if you only have two, alright, if you only have, let's just say you have a runway, or you want to run Bobbin, and you did not pick up the other unit, and you're thinking of, do I pull for Highlands? Right, you're thinking about this. I would say for a setup like this, where you're running Kafka, support, sustain, I don't think Black Swan's utility is going to be fully maximized, because your Arcana stacking is going to be slower. Right, and your damage amplification from Black Swan, where she basically allows you to get your team-wide damage buff, it doesn't really matter for your support and sustains. But it matters a lot more when you run 3 DOTs the same team, which is going to be high stats, because she will give you more stacks as well as do more damage. So the end game team comp setup for DOT, it is going to be quite straightforward, which is triple DOT plus sustain. And then from there on, you can just decide where do you want to adjust, which honestly, there's like not a lot of room to adjust to begin with, because the next replacement is like, for example, you want to run Stumble, right? Maybe you run like a Sambo if you don't want to pull for Highlands, you get a DHPD. It is still a 4-cycle clear, which is not that bad, but this is E2 DHPD, right? So if you are thinking of, do you pull for Black Swan? Do you want to get Black Swan for DOT? I would say that it doesn't feel like a must, purely because of the way that DOT plays out. Because the way that DOT works is that every single version, they release something. Kafka was version 1. Version 2 was Black Swan. Version 3 was Highlands. I don't know what's going to be for version 4. But unless DOT can expand beyond a 3 DOT plus sustain setup, then eventually one of those 3 DOTs, they have to go. And it's not going to be Kafka, right? It's definitely not going to be Kafka because Kafka is the driver. So whether or not you pull Black Swan now, or you wait for like a version 4, 5, or even 6 DOT in the future, if you want to wait that long, you could just think that this upgrade is not really a must. But then again, on the flip side, if you are going to be a DOT main, there really isn't a lot of things for you to pull specifically to upgrade. Because most DOT mains, they will just be logging in on a DOT unit, which is like once a year, right? And once a year in the entire version, you get 1 DOT unit. So, which is a super low amount of pressure in terms of stellar jets. So on the flip side, for DOT mains, they care a lot more for vertical investments. For example, E1 Black Swan, crazy. E1 Kafka, alright, E1 Kafka, crazy, right? Same thing for the E2. So that will be the overall landscape for what I would feel for Black Swan as well as DOT as a whole. In the future, I would most probably be cooking up like a Novaflare tier list update. But as of right now, she feels around the same ballpark as Sparkle, slightly lower, just because I don't know whether or not she's gonna be that good of a spot in the long run. Right? Kafka is like the definitive tier 0 if there's gonna be a Novaflare tier list. Then Sparkle is like slightly under around tier 0.5, which is gonna be where I'm placing Black Swan. Then maybe Steelwolf is tier 1, everything else is just like, you know, it is what it is. Okay, but Blade is pretty good though. Blade is pretty good. So I think with that, I kind of want to just see how DOT as well as this entire team archetype can do going forward. Because for my next couple of videos, we are finally gonna be back. Wait, where is it? Anomaly arbitration. Okay, unfortunately, I didn't really finish Yao Guang, but this is super fast anyway, so I'll probably do it tomorrow. Anomaly arbitration, where I kind of want to just see how is DOT, how is Black Swan, Hyacinth, all those things gonna be doing going forward in Anomaly. Because I think Anomaly is like the best place to test damage. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much I want to test MOC, it's a lot more restrictive, right? So for example, if I were to test MOC right now, we have 40% imaginary res, 40% physical res, win res, right? 60% ice res is rare. But like for Anomaly arbitration, the winners are like a lot more. So it might not be that big of a disparity aside from that tiny bit of shielding, which we can't even make full use of because Sparsity is not even going to be released anyways, right? So as of right now, I am extremely happy with Sparkle. I am okayly happy with Black Swan, but then again, I might be biased because I don't really play DOD that much. I'm not a DOD main, and also I am too broke to get a Hyacinth S1, so it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below on your thoughts on the Novaflare update. If there's gonna be more in the future, I will also promptly update you guys accordingly, right? So word of the day is going to be the biggest buffs in HSR history. Join to it, use code POKE, all the best. See you guys next time.